We got to get this show on the road, Diego.
All right, so it's time for our opening keynote, the innovation of the fully automated enterprise. Please welcome Ted Cummert to the stage.
Thank you. Good morning. It's great to be here with you today. And I have to say, it's simply delightful that we can all get together again in person. We're all really looking forward to spending this time with you over the next couple of days. I lead the products and engineering organization at UiPath. Products and engineering is literally hundreds of product managers, product designers, engineers, data scientists, and others that work every day to shape the automation platform for the future. I'm proud to work with them, and I'm very proud to be representing their work to you today. It's a very exciting time for us in products and engineering because we're just putting the final touches on our next release, UI Platform 2021.10. We can't wait to get it in your hands and to hear your feedback. And so that's going to be a lot of our discussion today. We'll cover 3 chapters. First, we'll talk about the strategy and vision that led to 2110. Then my colleague Param will join us to take you through the release in more detail, including some great demonstrations. And then we're going to take a look forward and really imagine what the automation platform can be in the future. In my over 3 decades in the software industry, I've observed one invariant trend, which is that software innovation accelerates change, and often beyond our wildest expectations. I love the Bill Gates quote that says something like, "We often overestimate what we can accomplish in a year and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. This McKinsey study is a great example of that. They went back in time and said, what did organizations plan to get done in their digital transformation programs? And then they looked at outcomes, and we overachieved. Certainly software innovation is a big part of this, but we believe automation is a significant part of this as well. We're going to hear from many great examples from many of you over the next 2 days. To highlight a couple, we're going to hear from Uber, who started with their automation program in one department, and then it quickly spread across the rest of the enterprise, achieving $10 million ROI. We're going to hear from DHL and Amazon that responded to a spike of demand and applied automation. DHL now has one of the largest deployments of unattended automation in the world. So now let's have a little discussion about what's so important about automation. Looking back in history, business process was built around the deployment of a few monolithic apps, ERP, CRM. And if you were in another department or you needed something different, you'd customize, you'd apply an add-on. Great thing about the SaaS era is we have many more solutions to choose from, tailored toward more needs across the enterprise, covering more processes, and this is fantastic, but it also increases fragmentation. And fragmentation is a real problem, and it affects everyone. Because in reality, the real work, the real business process spans all of that. And we see that in our everyday lives. You work with desktop apps, SaaS applications, line of business apps, you're navigating from here to there, you're cutting, you're pasting, you're doing some work in Excel, you're sending an email over here, and whether you're doing that work once a week, once a day, 4 times a year, twice a year, it's work you just don't want to do. And this is where automation enters the scene. Now, this is not the first platform to walk in the door and tell you, I can help you integrate your systems, I can help you automate your business process. But we know what's special about automation is it's centered around UI automation. And that's what gives it the power to capture the real work, emulate the work that's being done. And with that, We can free ourselves up from that repetitive and routine work. And most importantly, the business process can move forward as it needs to without waiting for application upgrades or the completion of complex integration projects. The opportunity for this kind of automation is nearly limitless. We describe those organizations that apply automation this way as fully automated enterprises. The fully automated enterprise has 4 key characteristics. The first is they just seize every opportunity they can to automate the automatable work, whether that's in the front office, the call center, the back office, the finance department. They aggressively discover all opportunities to automate and apply automation to those tasks. We're going to hear some other great examples. We're going to hear from Applied Materials, who basically reimagined their finance function. And Applied Automation now have over 250 automations in production that cover over half of their application landscape. And they estimate returns of 150,000 hours. We're also going to hear from Ingram Micro, who's got over 140 in production, and they've seen returns of $5 million. The fully automated enterprise assigns all the automatable work to robots. We believe that everyone in the enterprise can benefit from having a suite of automations available to help them with their individual work and to help them do their part in the overall business process. The fully automated enterprise embraces a robot for every person. Our strategy for our development experiences is to provide a range of solutions from the professional developer to the citizen developer. Our low-code, visual-oriented experiences don't require traditional coding skills. This can unleash additional capacity immediately and also deliver low time to solution. We built Studio X, our citizen developer experience, with the individual in mind, the individual out there in the business. They've got an issue, and despite all best efforts, IT and the RPA see we aren't going to get to it anytime soon. So it was a custom experience, really thinking about what that individual does with data, documents, and systems, and giving them an experience really tailored toward what they need to get done. The fully automated enterprise democratizes development. As we are emulating the work of people, it stands to reason that the type of cognitive services you build with AI and ML would be a powerful and natural match. But as fast as the technology is advancing, there's a bit of a gap. Many organizations are still struggling to get value out of their data science investments. We believe we can help bridge that gap by building into our platform powerful capabilities, such as computer vision, powering our UI automation, such as document understanding, classifying and extracting information from all forms of documents, or with process mining and task mining, helping you discover new opportunities to automate. It's also what we thought about as we embedded an ML Ops platform, AI Center, so you can easily bring your data science investments and partner data science investments to the platform to the benefit of your automations. The fully automated enterprise unleashes AI across every facet of work. Our mission in products and engineering is to advance the platform for the fully automated enterprise. It began by focusing on the core, starting with the runtime, the robot, UI automation, API integration, long-running workflow, developer experiences, low-code visual experiences, enabling high productivity, and then the orchestration to bring it together as an end-to-end managed system. That was phase 1. Back when we all got together at Forward 3 at the end of 2019, UiPath rolled out a vision for what we talk about as the fully automated enterprise platform for the full life cycle of automation. Thinking about how we engage end users wherever they are, from the desktop with UiPath Assistant, through rich user experiences with our low-code application platform, Uipath Apps, and via natural language with integration with chatbots. And then enabling you to discover more opportunities to automate. And that's capturing the wisdom of the crowd with task capture, and then using machine intelligence with task mining and process mining. And then it all comes together as an end-to-end governed platform. So you know the whole system is operating in compliance with your desired IT and security policy. And then embedding the analytics such that you have the operational and business insight you need on your automation program. In that platform, we deliver a software for you to deploy and manage in your data center, your public cloud of choice, and also in our cloud-native multi-tenant SaaS service, the Automation Cloud. So now we want to talk about the next step we're taking. And to tell us a little bit more about UiPath Platform Release 21.10, please welcome my colleague and good friend, Param Kahlon, to the stage. Param?
Thank you, Ted. It's great to be here in Vegas. I remember being on the stage 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we shared a vision with you. We imagined an automation platform that can help you automate all kinds of processes, from simple to complex. We imagined an automation platform where you could automate point-in-time tasks, or you could automate long-running end-to-end processes. We imagined a platform where you could build automations that impacted every user in your organization. And citizen developers in your organization can create automations for their own tasks. We imagined a data-driven platform that can not only measure the impact automation was having on your business, but also be able to discover new automation opportunities. Now, we didn't have all the components back then, but you believed. You believed in our vision, and we delivered. It has been really exciting to work with you. We've learned a ton about your processes, about your needs for automation. And we hope that you will continue to give those insights so we can continue to make innovation on our platform and drive our roadmap forward. Now, before I get into details of our platform, I wanted to quickly share what a release cadence looks like. So we release first in the cloud. We deploy new capabilities and new enhancements to our services in the cloud, and that happens every 2 weeks. We take those capabilities, and once a month, we also update our community version of the product, so the latest and greatest is available in the community version of the customers that are using that product. And then twice a year, once in April and then in October, we package all that innovation up and make it available for our on-premise customers. And this is the exciting time of the year in October where we get to talk about our October release, the 2021.10. Now, like previous releases, you can expect substantial new capabilities in this release, all the way from discover, build, manage, run, and engage. Now, we try to put all of that on one slide, and this is what we got. But don't worry, we're going to cover a few highlights in this session, and then over the course of the session, in the innovation track, in the Expertsville demo sessions, you'll be able to dive deeper and highlight and cover the breadth of what we cover in this platform. So let me start first with the first pillar, which is discover. Now, as Ted mentioned, we're committed to enabling a fully automated enterprise. One of the characteristics of a fully automated enterprise is that everything that can be automated is automated. To get companies to prepare for that, we want to make sure that enterprises can quickly discover all of their opportunities and capture them. So we're focused on making sure that a platform can support that. We're also focused on making sure that you get a consistent and harmonious experience, no matter what your deployment choice is, cloud or on-premise. And then, like the rest of the platform, we're focused on making sure that our customers of the discovery pillar can get quick time to value. So we're introducing new tools and new capabilities that accelerate the value that you get from deploying a Discover set of products. So to highlight a few things, first of all, Automation Hub is the product that you use to manage your automation ideas. It's now available for you to deploy on-premise as well. It has a configurable assessment engine that lets you look at ideas and, based on your own rules, decide which ideas are more important for you. Task Capture, which is used to capture the knowledge of your subject matter experts, has now multiple usability enhancements to be able to merge multiple steps, use the unified recorder that you use across the platform, and also be able to import Visio files in there. Task Mining is a product that we released earlier this year. It was cloud only, is now available for you to deploy on-premise as well, and has enhancements to support things like masking of personally identifiable information in the logs. Process Mining is now available as a true SaaS service for you to use directly in the cloud. It has multiple enhancements, including a major architectural uplift that allows you to ingest large volumes of data easily and very efficiently. We're also introducing a configurable metadata-based application experience that lets you configure the KPIs and dashboards and charts that you care about. And introducing a vast array of connectors that connect to your line of business applications to ingest the relevant information that's important for understanding your processes. Now, we're going to let the product and the demos do most of the talking in this session. But before I turn it over to the first demo, let me quickly set the stage for how we're going to show the capabilities today. We're going to imagine a company called Corp. Corp is a company in the office furniture business. Their business was primarily B2B. Now, as work-from-home phenomenon is taking over, they are reacting to demand coming from consumers as well, and they want to shift their business to be able to support demand from consumers too. Their order management systems were set up to handle demand from large enterprise customers, typically very large orders, but smaller volume. And as you know, in the consumer segment, you actually get smaller size orders, but maybe a higher volume of orders. So they need to figure out what they need to change to be able to handle that shift. And they're going to look at the UiPath Automation platform to understand their processes, decide where the bottlenecks exist, and how they can make those processes better. So with that, I'd like to introduce our first demoer, Rachel Wong, who is a Global Director of Order to Cash at Corp. Over to you, Rachel.
Thanks, Param. Hey, everyone. My name's Rachel, and let's just pretend for a little bit that I am the Global Director for Corp's Order to Cash process. Now, the pandemic has not been great for us. This has led to an increase in unusual sales orders, and like Param said, we're seeing a lot more late deliveries. And so my job is to ensure that our processes are streamlined and running as expected. But what is expected? I have no idea. So what I need to do is I need to understand our process, how it's actually running at this time. And I could go from employee to employee and quiz them and ask them how they're performing the process, but I'd rather not, right? Please no. So instead, what I need is a platform that will give me that bird's eye view into how my process is actually running, allow me to identify bottlenecks and anomalies that happen within my process, and allow me to help the COE document those ideas and deploy them into production. So UiPath's integrated process discovery suite is going to be perfect for me to use. Let's get into the demo. So starting with process mining, we've created custom dashboards and custom metrics for our order-to-cash process. For example, you can see that we have different metrics related to customers, late delivery rates, sales orders, and total value. And in Q2 of 2020, although my total value has increased by $3,600, my late delivery rate is at 31%. So as that global director, this is very alarming. I hate this, right? So my goal is to bring this down to at most 5%. What I can do is I can traverse to this deviations dashboard. I'll get a different perspective of how my process is actually running within this process graph. What I'm interested in are my bottlenecks that occur. So really, how long is each activity within my process, within my order-to-cash process taking? So by changing the metric to average event throughput time, I now see very clearly within this dashboard that the remove SO item credit block activity is taking the longest time for my process. It takes on average 10 days to complete. And so now that I've identified a bottleneck, I can go ahead and submit an idea directly into Automation Hub. And what this is going to allow me to do is provide metrics from process mining to have Automation Hub generate assessment KPIs for me. So I'll go ahead and fill out this idea, input some metrics, and go ahead and send that to Automation Hub. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So within Automation Hub, it automatically takes the metrics from process mining and calculates using its built-in algorithm a detailed assessment. So, for example, you see automation potential being 63%. This idea also has the potential to save the company about 1,000 hours per year. And as that COE member, if I take a look at this idea, what's actually happening, right? What are the clicks and types that are required to perform this activity? I have no idea either. So what I need to do is I need to talk to Hamed, who is my project SME, right? He performs the activity 32% of the time. I'm going to add him as a collaborator within Automation Hub and ask him to start a task capture process. Now, what task capture is, it's that process documentation tool to help accelerate process discovery and expand your automation pipeline. When starting a task capture process or project, you can build a diagram from scratch, or you can capture the process using a lightweight recording tool. In the top right of my screen, you're going to see that listener. And by default, that listener is going to capture every click and type that I perform on my desktop. So the first step in this SAB process is to, of course, log in. So we'll capture that really quick login sequence. And once I've captured that, I'll stop my recording, and you'll see that task capture was automatically able to create a very short workflow with all of the clicks and types that it captured. So as Hamed, that SME, I'm documenting my process. This is my chance to be as descriptive as possible. I want to make sure that when this document gets passed to an analyst or an RPA developer, we can accelerate our implementation. So let's say he's finished creating that workflow. He has the ability to either export this as a process design document, a XAML skeleton, an image, or he can publish it directly into the original idea within Automation Hub. So let's say that that idea has been published into Automation Hub. My COE has decided to move this into the decision pipeline because they've assessed it. It's something that's automatable. Now they have this decision pipeline within Automation Hub where they can clearly prioritize the different ideas to put into production based on certain automation goals and business metrics. Now, going back to my role as a global director, I'm going to continue to use my process mining dashboards to continuously monitor how my changes are affecting my process. So if you remember in Q2 of 2020, my late delivery rate was at 31%. I'll traverse to Q3 of 2020 and see how my sales orders and my late delivery rates are being affected. It's dropped 6% with this implementation, so everything seems to be trending upwards. Let's continue to implement this globally and hope that my late delivery rates drop to my goal, right? So going from Q3 to Q4, it's dropped in 18%. It's now at 6%. So as that global director, I've essentially met my goal. However, I'm seeing that different KPIs, different metrics within this dashboard are trending downwards. Why is this happening? Well, I can continue to use process mining to slice and dice my data, get a better understanding of what's actually going on within my process, identify root cause analysis, and then start that process over again with our integrated process discovery suite. That's all I have for you today, so Param, back to you.
Thank you, Rachel. So as you saw, it was great that with UiPath's discovery tools, not only are you able to discover what your processes are, monitor key KPIs, but also understand where bottlenecks exist and transfer them to your automation pipeline so that you can start to eliminate and work on those bottlenecks. And it is a continuous process that continues to drive improvements into your business processes. Now I'm going to next turn to build. The UiPath mission is to accelerate human achievement. To do that, we have to accelerate developer productivity. We have to make sure that developers, your developers, have both more capability, but also the capacity to build more processes. We want to make sure that your developers can automate a broad array of processes, incorporating not just UI automation, but also automations that can leverage APIs that exist in your environment. We also want to make sure that developers can use machine learning skills and predictions that your machine learning and data science team has built and use those in their automations as well. We also want to make sure that developers can very easily use mission-critical capabilities like governance and security and testing in their automations as well and easily be able to drop them into their projects. And then we want to make sure that your citizen developers are able to automate more and more processes, are able to add more capacity to your pipeline of automations you're building. So with those themes in perspective, in this release, we're very excited to introduce UiPath Integration Service. The UiPath Integration Service brings a wealth of connectors from our acquisition of Cloud Elements. Along with connectors, it also has connections to manage authentication and triggers that can be used to monitor events in third-party systems. Your developers can now use a combination of UI automation, API automation, and ML-based predictions all in the same design environment to compose your automations and handle more processes through our platform. We continue to add more AI for document understanding with more machine learning algorithms for classification of documents and also extraction of information from those documents. We're very excited in this release to announce a new capability called Forms AI that uses a semantic automation-based approach to extract information from documents. And with Studio X, we're focused on making sure that we can make more business analysts in your organizations as citizen developers. And for those citizen developers, they can do more automations with more capability in there with easy-to-use environment for building those automations. We're continuing to make increased investments in Manage as well. As your automation projects are driving more innovation, are driving more mission-critical workloads, your IT organization wants to make sure that we are meeting their operational, their governance, and their security requirements. We're also focused on making sure that for the IT stakeholders, it's easy to manage and deploy the entire platform as one, lowering the total cost of ownership of both managing your automations, but also deploying the entire infrastructure and running it on-premise. So with those themes, we're excited to announce that the Automation Cloud, which is continuing to get a lot of interest from our customers, we've made investments there to incorporate your compliance needs. We're introducing a cloud-native delivery model with Automation Suite, where we've taken the learnings of running a large cloud service and incorporated all of those management and deployment tools into a suite that you can manage and run on-premise. All of the administration capabilities that you use in the cloud service are now available to manage those services in the on-premise environment as well. So we offer a consistent and harmonious experience to manage all those services from an administrator's perspective. And with AI Center, we're introducing new machine learning models for things like named entity recognition and OCR, and also introducing AI solution templates that are taking some of those models to solve critical business needs in the enterprise. Things like email AI, which is able to use sentiment analysis and entity recognition to both triage those emails, extract the sentiment of those emails, and help companies process large volumes of emails coming to anonymous email addresses. In the run phase, we're making sure that our robots that are deploying these mission-critical processes have more capability, have the resiliency that enterprise environments need, are secure, adding security capabilities for the robot, and are flexible for mission-critical deployments in their environment. As more and more enterprises are turning to automation to defragment their IT environments, we want to make sure that our robots are ready to be able to integrate everything, breaking down the silos across your business applications and your different applications. So in this release, we're very excited in the run phase to introduce Linux-based robots. The Linux robots are deployed in a container and allow you to run both API and UI-based automations that ensure that you can scale those container-based deployments to handle the peak seasonality loads and other kinds of things while managing the overall cost of having those robots deployed. We're also introducing a configurable solution for auto-healing that monitors several health indicators on the machine and also in the resources on the machine to match the requirements of the workflow to ensure that the overall maintenance cost of running those automations and the error rates are reduced. And finally, the automation cloud robots. It requires you zero infrastructure investment to run our entire platform. You can already deploy a lot of our services in the cloud, from orchestrator to machine learning AI to process mining to task mining. But now you can take your robots and the machines that are running on and have them all serviced and hosted by UiPath, so we can make those machines available as well. Again, making it simpler for you to get started with automation, but also helping you manage the overall deployment cost of automation initiatives. So we're going to turn our attention back to Desk Corp. And as you recall, Desk Corp is making a transition to handle demand from consumers. But one of the things that they've differentiated in their business is customer experience. And they want to make sure that as they're opening new channels of interacting with customers, the retail channels, the e-commerce channels, that they're continuing to deliver a consistent experience across all of those channels. And they want to make sure that their automation projects and automation initiatives are able to handle the load that they're seeing from these customers. So we're going to turn over to an analyst at Desk Corp, a business analyst in Desk Corp, who's responsible for channels in the channel management business, and see how a business analyst is able to use our capabilities to make the impact in customer delivery processes. So over to you, Tony Zhang.
Great. Thank you, Param. Hi, everyone. I'm Tony. As a retail channel manager, I'm constantly getting new orders coming in from my retailers that I need to process quickly and efficiently. Now, unfortunately, this is a very manual process today that involves me creating purchase orders in Salesforce and then entering product detail configuration in SAP. As you can imagine, even though we specialize in desks, this is actually quite complex because there are many different configurations of different desktop surfaces, frames, and motors that I need to enter in correctly. It's easy for me to make a mistake, especially when I'm in a rush. And when that happens, I end up with an unhappy customer and high order reprocessing costs. Now, this is a process that we've been working closely with our Center of Excellence on and actually identified as a high automation potential use case. So I've been working closely with our lead RPA developer, Andrew Hall, to go and complete this end-to-end automation. Now, it just so happens that I actually know the information that we need from these documents the best. And so now I can use UiPath Document Understanding's Forms AI capability to go and create a lightweight AI model very easily myself, and then hand that model over to Andrew to complete the rest of this automation. So let me show you how that's done. First, we'll start here in the Document Understanding Cloud experience, and I'll go into my project that I've already started. And now I'll just go ahead and define a new document type that I'll just name sales order. Once I've got this document type in, now what we'll do is we'll find a couple examples of old sales orders that we can use to go and train the robot itself. Now, as this is uploading, let me give you a little bit of a preview of what's to come. I've fed the robot 3 examples, and what I'll do now is I'll review each of those different examples, and I can use AI at a couple different places here to go and extract the information correctly. First, I can use AI to even make a prediction around what are the key pieces of information that I need to have identified from the document itself. Now, this AI will not be perfect. Some of it will get correctly, and some things will be wrong, and I'll need to make that correction. But what I can do is I can go and make that manual correction, and the robot will instantly learn as it progresses from document to document. So let's go into that now, and let's see how that's done. So let me click into the next stage. And you can see the first document starting to load on the screen here. Now, right now, nothing is on here, so let me go ahead and hit Predict, and we'll apply our AI to examine this document and try to identify what are the key pieces of information to extract from it. Now, great. This is coming back, and I can see there's some things that look really good, especially down at the bottom where my totals are. The table was not extracted, and I do need to get that, so I'll go ahead and make that change. And there are probably a few fields here that look like they're wrong, but that's OK because they happen to not be so important. So I can go ahead and delete some of those fields as well. Now let me go ahead and define the table itself, because what's really important are the line item details here. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just create some of these different fields. I'll create one for the SKU, one for the description, one for the quantity, and of course, one for the line item total. Now, once I create these fields, I can just click on the screen itself and very quickly show the robot how to go and find this information. So this is all it takes. As I'm doing this, the robot itself is learning from what I'm doing, and you can see all the information now is now correctly tagged. Now, here's where the magic begins. Let me go to the next document here. And as we go into the next document, now we'll go ahead and try out the model that I just trained. So I hit Predict once again, and let's see what the robot is able to come back with this time. And let's see if it's learned from the first example I gave it. So we'll go here, and we'll really take a closer look at the table here. And it does look like all the different line items are here and working pretty well. So let's do one more, which looks a little bit different, and let's see if the robot is still able to process that correctly as well. I'll hit Predict, as I did before. And actually, as this is coming up, you can see that this was actually an order I had to reprocess because of a previous mistake. So we look at the line items here, and you can see it did get all the line items correct. Great. So it looks like this model is ready to go. So what I will do now is I will just go ahead and publish this. I'll call this my Corp sales order. I'll hit Publish. I'll copy this endpoint. And now I can take this endpoint and actually invite Andrew to come on to finish the rest of the end-to-end automation using the model that I just created. So Andrew, you're our lead RPA developer. We've got the model working, so now it's over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony. I'll take it from here. So as Tony said, I'm Andrew. I'm our lead RPA developer here at Corp. And being an RPA developer, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into UiPath Studio, where I prefer to spend my time. So Tony's walked through. He's helped me understand, using our great tools, exactly how his process works. And so the first thing we're going to do is he's going to get these order forms as email attachments. So we're just going to go ahead and save those email attachments off. I'm going to now call the document understanding model that he built, right? He published that. I don't have to do anything other than know how to access it up in the UiPath Cloud or Event Automation Suite, whichever one we're choosing to use, and I can consume that, right? So just as like Param and Ted were talking about, we're able to collaborate together. I'm able to work with my business analyst. The next thing Tony's going to have to do is he has to go into SAP Fiori. He uses the web interface for this. And if you saw his document, you'll see that there's all these subcomponents in order to get an order right. What type of desktop do they want? What is the size? What is the color? What are the materials? Is it motorized or not? And there's a lot of opportunity to make that error prone. And so Tony, we're not going to make you copy and paste anymore. We're not going to have customers yelling at you. We're going to use the great document understanding work you did, and we're going to have UI automation against SAP Fiori in a Chromium-based browser, and that's going to go enter all that information on your behalf to make sure that it works awesome. Then the next thing that we're going to do is our own internal system. We work with Salesforce. And so not only does Tony have to go order all the subcomponents in SAP for our vendors, but he has to create a record in Salesforce. And so we're going to use the brand new UiPath integration service to connect to and create all those records in Salesforce. And so just, when I click configure here, you'll see it pop up. and it's going to read the connections directly from my integration service. And so all this information is going to be stored in the cloud. And we'll look at what that means in a second. The last thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to say Finalize Automation. And I'm going to work with Tony's Outlook 365. Again, you'll notice here under Account, it says Default. This is because it's going to use the default connection from the connection service. And so that's going to securely make sure that as I move this from my development machine into a production environment, whatever default Outlook 365 connection we have picked up, it will use that one. And so this removes any accidental credentials ever being checked in with the code, right? Keeps everything really secure, all from our great new integration service. And the last thing I'm going to do, Tony, just to make sure that you know when it happens, is I'm going to send you an email. So it's going to say, hi, Tony, a desk order was received. We're going to have a link to the Salesforce order it's going to create. We're going to have a link to the SAP purchase order. And I want to stop and point out a little fun thing. Sorry, I'm a developer, so I'm going to have to geek out for a second. And I have this little line on the bottom that says, created by a UiPath robot running on OS description. And at runtime, this is going to print what runtime it's running, or the operating system it's running on. And so if I were to go over here to my Outlook, I have a draft that I created a little bit ago. And no surprise, it's not super important, but it tells me that it was running on Windows 10. That makes sense. That's my developer machine. But I want to stop and point something out right now. And I want to point out that here in UiPath Studio, if we go down to the bottom corner, it's going to say that this project is cross-platform. And so what that means is that this project is now in a state that it can run on Windows or Linux. And so as we move over to our cloud portal here in my browser, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the integration service. And you've heard Param talk about it. You've heard Ted talk about it. We have connectors to all kinds of line of business applications, anything you'd want to connect to. And we're going to continue to add these weekly and monthly for the next couple months. So I can see I already have 2 connections here, Outlook 365 and Salesforce. This is what I'm already using. But I know the last thing that Tony's going to eventually want me to back these documents up to Google Drive. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly create a connection to Google Drive while I'm here, just to show how easy it is. So I chose Google Drive. It's going to pop up, ask me what account I want. When I choose that, it's going to make sure that I give Google permission, or UiPath permission to interact with that. It's going to tell me, browser goes away, and in about 2 seconds, we're going to see this refresh, and you're going to see that I had a Google Drive connection. So it's that easy to build connections to securely store credentials to our services. So the final thing I want to do is I want to make sure that this is going to, Tony, for you, you don't have to go click a button in Assistant. No, we have a new trigger service that's available. And so from your Outlook 365 connection, I can say Add Trigger. So it's going to pop up. It's going to say, what do I want? And I want to do this when a new message is created. And now it's going to ask me what process I want to run. And I'm going to say it's going to order desk processes or desk parts. And this is going to be in my Linux processes folder. Because actually in production, we're going to run this on a Linux robot. So let me go ahead and add that trigger. And I have an email sitting in my inbox. So as soon as that finishes, it should start a process for us. And if I go over here to my orchestrator view, I'm going to see that I have a pending job. And the reason I have this job pending, let me drag this over for a couple so we can look at it, and it was started by the integration trigger. So this has now been kicked off, but that's because I stopped my robot. And I stopped my robot because I need a couple seconds to geek out. Because I had stopped, this is running a Docker container. I have an SSH session to my machine. And so what I'm going to do now is I just need to tell it to Docker start the Linux robot. Should be in my history somewhere. There we go. And within a couple seconds, what we're going to see is that an orchestrator, this is going to go from pending to running. And now, when I go back to Outlook, if I go to my drafts folder, you can see that I had run one earlier. It was already completed. And this is now going to tell me that, let me pop this up and show this, that this was running on a Linux 5.8 Ubuntu operating system. So I am just so cool. My IT department is going to love me that we are now able to run and deploy our robots using containers on Linux infrastructure to help with our total cost of ownership. And so with that, Tony, I think our customer is going to be really happy, and I'd like to turn it back over to Param.
Thank you, Tony and Andrew. So I want to reflect back on the power of that workflow. That workflow used a machine learning prediction to extract information from the document. It went into UI automation so that it can access information from SAP, and it used an API-based integration into Salesforce. And it all of that in one design environment and ran that on a Linux container. All to make sure that customers, the retail customers that were placing their orders through documents, through PDF forms, were able to get quick response back on the status of that order and what they were trying to do. This is very, very powerful technology that not only delivers better experience, but lets you do that very quickly. In a matter of hours, you're able to take these workflows and put them into your production. So next, I'm going to turn over to the Engage pillar. So one of the key goals for UiPath is to make sure that we are improving the employee experience as well. We want to make sure that automation is available for every user within the organization. And we want to make sure that we meet users where they are. The automations that we want to make available for users should be available in an accessible, in a manner where users can easily find them and are relevant for the task that they're trying to do. We also want to make sure that we can take automations to where work is happening. We don't want to make your business users come to a certain place to click certain things to run automations they don't want to. If they want to use it contextually in the line of business applications, in the productivity application that they're using, we want to make sure that automations are available there for the work that they're trying to complete as well. So with those themes in mind, what we have introduced in this release is ready-to-go universal automations that business users can download easily to perform commonly performed tasks within the enterprise. We're continuing the cross-platform journey by making sure that the UiPath Assistant that is used by end users to run automations that are relevant for them is available on a Mac as well. So you can run UiPath Assistant directly from Mac, including the integration of the UiPath Assistant to the marketplace and your automation store so that users can quickly find more automations that are relevant for them. We're also creating immersive integration with line of business applications and productivity systems that you use. So for example, we've done integration with Slack before. In this release, we're also introducing integration with Microsoft Teams so that users can call robots and what they want to execute directly from Microsoft Teams. And then UiPath Apps continues to advance on the maturity curve with lots of new capabilities, advanced things like expressions or more UI controls or ability to manage the life cycle of the deployment of applications. So with that, we're going to turn to our next demoer, Evan Cohen, who's the account administrator at Desk Corp, to see how employees are using automation in their daily life and improving their work. So over to you, Evan.
Thanks, Param. Hi, everyone. I'm Evan. As an account admin, I'm always trying to figure out how I can better support our account team and our customers. And as we heard from Rachel, responding to the work from home phenomenon has meant changes to our shipping process. And on top of that, we've introduced a new direct-to-customer channel. And that means that coordination and tracking have become much more complex overnight. Now, I've partnered with our COE to tackle some of these challenges by providing our team of account managers with deep integrations between their work and the robots that enable them. We do this by providing relevant automations right into the tools that they're already using, making data and suggested actions available right at their fingertips. I'm going to show you how we've brought this to life using new capabilities on the UiPath platform that will be available later this year. Now, I have 3 examples to share with you today, and they can be used independently or in conjunction depending on the needs and culture of your organization. Now, at Desk Corp, we use both Macs and PCs, and today I'll be showing you everything on a Mac. So let's start with the new Microsoft Teams integration. It looks like a recruiter has just let me know that Dante has accepted a role on my team. With the new Teams integration, our employees can access all of the unattended automations that our COE has made available to them directly within their Teams channel, where we do most of our internal communication. Now, I want this employee onboarded quickly, as soon as they join. So let's use this onboarding process from the COE. Now, just like the assistant on desktop, the Teams integration automatically generates a form for inputs to this process. So I can provide the new hire's name, their role to make sure they get access to the relevant systems, and their start date next week. And now, Dante will be able to hit the ground running when he joins. Any process that runs from the Teams integration can post status updates directly back in our Teams channel to never disrupt our workflow. Next, let's look at one of the ways that we've enabled our account and sales team to meet the new demands of our business using UiPath Apps. Apps can leverage attended or unattended automations and create elegant interfaces for our processes. The new data service integration in apps lets us include information our robots and employees have stored there at web speed. Together, these allow us to consolidate information from multiple different back-end systems into a single operational interface. Now, one of the frequent challenges that account managers at Descorp face is finding the relevant information to quickly answer a customer question or react to an unforeseen event. So when someone in our org gets an email like this one that mentions a tracking number or an order ID, they don't have to figure out what system they need to search in. They just click. And a page that we've built with UiPath Apps is opened directly inline via simple Office add-in. Now, in the background, this app uses a symphony of UiPath Platform components to pull order and customer information quickly and seamlessly right into view. And now I can see the entire context of this customer and order. Since someone on my team owns this customer account, I'm also suggested a next best action to ensure the best possible experience for our customer. And not only is this easy to use, but it's also easy to build, extend, and maintain, keeping our total cost of ownership low. With no prior front-end development experience, the COE can use UiPath App Studio to build intuitive experiences for automation. Now, not only does this accelerate our account managers, it reduces and sometimes eliminates training time for new employees like Dante. I have one final thing to share today. As you've seen, not all of our employees are using PCs, and many prefer using a Mac. And with Assistant on Mac, our employees have a single place to launch their processes and apps that the COE has made available to them. And with the new cross-platform activities, the COE can create automations that run anywhere, like this one. Now, this is still the beginning of our automation journey for our company, and as we continue to scale our adoption for automation and become a fully automated enterprise, discoverability of usable automations becomes an important pillar of consumption. With the Assistant, I can see what automations are available inside of our organization's automation store, and I can download ready-to-go automations from Marketplace to take advantage of what others have built. Now, you just saw 3 powerful ways that we're empowering people in our organization with the power of automation. We're providing seamless integration of automations into the tools that they use for their work, enabling faster decision-making by providing relevant data and suggested actions right at their fingertips, and allowing employees to use whatever device suits them best. To learn more, visit the Engage booth located in Expertsville Central, or join one of the Engage how-to track sessions. Thank you. Param, back to you.
Thanks, Evan. It's great to see that we can meet your business users where they are. If they're using Mac, we've got automations available for them in Mac. If they're in Microsoft Teams, we can make our robots available within Microsoft Teams. If they are using different interfaces, we can make sure that the rich information, the contextual information from across the enterprise can be gathered together by our robots and made available to users and have information available at their fingertips using UiPath application framework. So it's a really, really powerful capability for end users to use automation. Next, I want to turn to govern and measure. As UiPath becomes the engine for digital transformation, we have to make sure that state-of-the-art security and endpoint protection is available both in our platform, but also for robots as they're doing work on behalf of your business users. We're very excited and fortunate to have partnered here with the leading company in security to provide a comprehensive solution for your robots. Today, we're announcing a strategic relationship between UiPath and CrowdStrike to offer a comprehensive security solution that you guys can use within the UiPath platform. Thank you. I'd like to invite Amol Kulkarni from CrowdStrike to tell us a little bit more about what this solution is, and we'll come back and show you how that appears in the UiPath platform. So over to Amol.
Thank you, Param. First, let me say that I'm honored to be joining you here at UiPath Forward 4. This marks the beginning of a great partnership between two industry-leading companies coming together to solve real-world security problems for our joint customers. I'm Amol Kulkarni, Chief Product Officer at CrowdStrike, where we are redefining security for the cloud era with an endpoint and workload protection platform built from the ground up to stop breaches. The CrowdStrike Falcon platform leverages cloud-scale artificial intelligence and offers real-time protection and visibility across the enterprise, preventing attacks on endpoints and workloads on or off the network. Today, I'm happy to announce an industry first, the integration of endpoint security and robotic process automation, enabling full visibility to enhance protection and to speed up response. Current security solutions, including next-gen products, might not be able to track specific processes triggered by robots, and they lack the visibility to correlate events to the originating RPA processes. And if attackers can bypass an organization's defenses and compromise robots, they could go unnoticed and cause silent failure. Through our joint integration, CrowdStrike's endpoint detection and response, EDR capabilities, are being extended to track and display both malicious and benign UiPath RPA activity for our mutual customers, providing them with contextual information to further investigate suspicious activity, while at the same time protecting endpoints from any compromise. Best of all, CrowdStrike customers continue using the same lightweight Falcon agent and management console with no additional architecture or deployment changes. Today, UiPath and CrowdStrike now have a first-of-its-kind integration that provides unparalleled coverage to defend against all types of attacks, from malware to the most sophisticated and stealthy nation-state attacks. Thank you. Back to you, Param, for a quick demo to showcase the integration. You all have a great forward.
Thank you, Amol. Really excited to have this partnership with CrowdStrike. Now, we're going to go back to Desk Corp and invite Nadia Malik, who is a security analyst at Desk Corp, to see how she's using both UiPath and CrowdStrike to manage security for their robotic workforce. Over to you, Nadia.
Thank you so much, Param. Hi, everyone. I'm Nadia, and man, what a time to be alive. There's been so much that's changed in the way we work this past year, and with more and more companies embracing automation, it's very important that security is within our automation program, and as a security analyst, it's top of mind. So I'm so excited to be able to showcase the capabilities of UiPath and CrowdStrike. And so with that, do note that robots emulate human actions, and because of that, we need to protect them just the same. And so with this integration, I have unprecedented visibility into the robot-level activities. And so I'm going to walk you through 3 automations that simulate different detections within the Falcon dashboard. So I'll go ahead and get started. So first, I'm going to trigger an automation that is a simulation of malicious activity in the form of a test command. And this demonstration is purely to test that the Falcon sensor is active. And with that, I'll go directly into the Falcon dashboard, where I see with this new integration, CrowdStrike has introduced 2 dashboards that bring RPA-relevant details directly to you. So we have 2 dashboards, the first one being RPA activity. This gives you robotic operation details such as the processes run, applications invoked, files that have been accessed, network activity, etc. And then we also have another dashboard, which is Rpa Detections. And this gives you more granular level of details to understand what the robot is doing. And as you see in the details, I have the command that I just invoked and the process name, as well as the job ID. So now with this information, I can pinpoint and shut down a specific robot or a process if necessary, essentially giving my security team the ability to take action and reduce any need for downtime. So in my opinion, this integration brings me two things. One, visibility into my robot activity, and two, business continuity. And in order to have this integration working, there's no configuration required. All you need is the latest version of the Falcon sensor and the latest version of a robot. So essentially, my security team has no effort in having this integration work. So additionally, if you're using Orchestrator on-prem 21.10 or Automation Cloud, you have additional metadata that's sent directly to the Falcon dashboard. But that's not required for this integration. Now for the next two examples, I'm going to walk you through, and we're going to zero in on what a robot is doing versus a human. So within accounting, there's certain information that a robot and an accountant has access to. But I want to be alerted if a robot were to access financial information, such as this report. And so what I'll do is that right here, I've accessed this financial report as a human, so I shouldn't see an alert within the dashboard. But if a robot were to do this, I do want to be detected. I do want to see an alert. That way, I can be assured that the robot has the right level of access. So I'm going to go ahead and trigger the robot from my attended tray, in which it'll launch the URL to access that financial report. And now that it's launched that report, I'll go back into the Falcon dashboard where I should see a new detection. And as I refresh that dashboard, so now we should see only one alert notifying me that a robot has accessed that URL to that financial report, and this action has been performed by the robot and not the human. And so now I can take this information and then go back to my COE if needed. Now, the final automation that I'm going to run will actually be run as an unattended process. So I'll go into Orchestrator. And what this automation will do is actually separate what a robot is able to do versus a human. Now, remember our good friend Andrew, our developer, he actually uses PowerShell on a day-to-day basis. And so PowerShell is a pretty powerful tool. So I want to actually restrict access and not have a robot invoke any commands on it. So what this will do now that I have a policy defined in the Falcon dashboard, I will now have the ability to prevent the robot from actually running and invoking a command and using PowerShell. So I'll go ahead and start the automation, select the process and my machine. And what we should see is that immediately the process is faulted. Aha, so just as expected, the robot's not able to actually perform any task because of the policy I've defined within CrowdStrike. And this is all because of the integration that we have now with UiPath and CrowdStrike. So as a security analyst, I have a peace of mind that my company is safe and that robots and humans can work together. So back over to you, Param.
Thank you, Nadia. That was great. I know with that level of protection for both my employee workforce and my robotic workforce, my stakeholders in both business and IT are going to sleep much better at night. So really excited to have that capability as part of the platform. Now, hopefully these demonstrations have given you a taste of many new capabilities that are in this release. But we've barely scratched the surface of what is in this release. There are hundreds of new capabilities that we've added to the platform that you will have the chance to explore further during the rest of the conference and innovation breakouts and other things. We're very excited about what this release brings to you in terms of our platform. But this is just the next stop that we have on a much longer and a more ambitious roadmap for the UiPath platform. And to tell you more about our long-term focus and the vision that's driving us, I'm going to turn things back over to Ted and invite him back to the stage. Ted.
All right. Thank you, Param. Hopefully you've gotten a sense of the excitement we have for what's coming in 2110. We simply cannot wait to get it in your hands and to hear your feedback. As we do our product planning, it's critical that we think about multiple horizons. From the very immediate future, the things you really need us to do next, but also we must gaze out into the future. Think about technology innovation and what that's going to bring to the automation platform in the future. We recently completed our yearly exercise to take a look at our long-term vision, and we want to share the outcome of that thinking with you. We see 4 key innovation themes as we continue to build out the platform for the full automation lifecycle. We're going to start in a very familiar place. This theme has been with us forever, and it'll be with us forever going forward. We talk in the team about having a mission-critical mindset. We know our platform is now critical to the work of individuals. It's critical to the running of your business process. And if it should ever fail you, it's a mission-critical issue. And as such, the investments we make in quality, performance, scalability, manageability, security, overall TCO are amongst the highest in every release. And you've seen some of that as we've talked through 2110. Param talked about auto-update. How do we help you get on our latest and greatest software? By automating the process of updating the entire fleet, from the desktop to the robot. With CrowdStrike offering the industry's first endpoint protection solution for the robot workforce, providing visibility and mitigation. And then Automation Ops, making a deep investment in centralizing and simplifying administering policy so you can be certain the total solution is compliant with your desired IT and security policy. This theme has been with us for a while. It also changes shape based on technology innovation. We think about characteristics such as building a more autonomous platform with self-healing characteristics, using automation to heal around infrastructure issues. We think about how our platform understands the relationships between automations and applications, and how we can, by observing that, we can help you heal around issues with dependencies. We think about these characteristics we talk about in the cloud, serverless and elasticity. Because at the end of the day, no matter where you're deploying and managing your software, you just want to freely access scale and capability. You don't want to be managing infrastructure. One thing I've observed over my career is that healthy platforms grow. Find new use cases to generalize, bring those into the platform so we can all do more. I'm going to speak primarily to our developer community here and our commitment to continue to expand the capabilities of the platform so you can accomplish more while remaining true to the simplicity and ease of use of our developer experiences. we talked about the integration service. That approach really framed how we thought about that. Expanding the API surface area, adding important new services like connection management, server-side triggers. And you go look at that and say, boy, that's a lot of capabilities in an iPaaS. Which is true, but I think it misses the point to some degree. Certainly, there's things you could do with those other platforms you can now do in ours. But it's really about the integration. It's the power of bringing together best-of-breed UI automation with best-of-breed API integration. The two are much more powerful together than they are apart. That's also the thinking as we entered the low-code application space with UiPath Apps, how we think about AI as we embed an ML ops capability with AI Center, and so on. So we're going to continue to move forward and aggressively add new capability to help you automate the repetitive and routine, but importantly, to expand the surface area where we're a platform of first choice for an increasing number of new business processes and new applications. We have a great foundation in our discovery products today, oriented around helping you find more opportunities to automate. With task capture, capturing the knowledge of experts out there in the business, they see the pain, they know what it is, an easy user experience to capture those flows and package them up so they can be handed off to a developer. With process mining, we instrument your most important business processes, help you find bottlenecks and anomalies, and those insights can very readily lead to opportunities to automate. And then with task mining, observing the work of people, respecting privacy, reasoning over that with a very complex multi-layer machine learning system, which can very directly lead to new automations to be developed. And then all those ideas can flow into Automation Hub, our ID management platform, so they can be further curated, so an RPA COE developer can pick them up or a citizen developer can pick them up down the line. We entered these spaces like process mining because we thought we could bring a unique perspective, and by closing the loop with automation. Our system has a very unique understanding of processes, the work in an organization, the tasks, automations, people, and how it all relates. And by reasoning over that, we can provide some very powerful insights. These can be things just like knowing exactly who we should ask to do a task capture, who should participate in a task mining study, or in the context we lift out of that insight so we can make it a developer so they can build just exactly the right solution. We also see discovery becoming more and more continuous. I liken it to a nervous system for the process and the work in the enterprise. Continuously watching, identifying new opportunities, alerting you in real time, and helping you dynamically adapt. This next theme is a very powerful one. We call it Semantic Automation. At a basic level, this is elevating the semantic context across the full platform, so you can focus more on your business problem and less on mechanism. I want to walk through a couple of examples to bring this a little bit more to light. So let's talk about the progression we've been on with documents. As we know, a lot of documents still show up as images. Then along came OCR. Now we can start dealing with text, elevating the semantic context. Intelligent document processing solutions like document understanding. Now we can classify and extract all forms of information, structured, semi-structured. Now we can train up specific models for common business forms, receipts, bills, invoices, identification documents, train it up on your own business forms and documents. Then we saw with the email solution that Param referred to, elevating the semantic context, grabbing some important things out of that email, such as sentiment, and then extracting key business entities. Then you can just focus on the processing of that email, not on all the mechanism and how I'm going to get that information out of it. Let's use another example in terms of UI. And I argue today with Unified Target, we're elevating some of the context around dealing with UI elements, abstracting out the method that's being used. System helps you with that. object repository enabling the store, share, and reuse of those. And imagine in the future where we can say, hey, we've seen that you're dealing with invoice data in SAP. We know you're doing that. We're seeing you, we're seeing you work with invoice documents. And then we can just automate the next step. We can help you with the data transformations. We can help you with some code and with an automation. So something before that might have taken you hundreds of explicit steps can now be done in just a few. And this can be a very powerful thing for developer productivity, enabling you to focus on the business problem and less on mechanism. One of the great things I get to do in my day-to-day is spend a lot of time with Daniel. He spends a lot of time on the core product. This is an area of particular passion for him, and he's going to spend a lot of time talking about this later today as a part of his discussion that closes this first day. So as all of this comes together, a continuously expanding surface area enabling you to address a broader range of scenarios, continuous discovery, continuously observing, finding new opportunities to automate, alerting you in real time, helping you dynamically adapt. Semantic automation, elevating the semantic context, making you so much more productive because you can just focus on your business problem and not in dealing with the underlying mechanism. It's going to be an amazing future. Imagine what we're going to be able to do when we have these kind of capabilities available to us. It's going to be a very exciting future. Before I close, I was remembering this morning, I met with a mentor and I was talking about what I wanted to do next in my career, and he said a very wise thing to me. He said, whatever it is, make sure you're doing something significant, because the insignificant stuff takes just as much effort. When I run into ex-colleagues, they'll often ask me, hey, why'd you go to UiPath? And I'll start the conversation by saying, it's simply because I believe this is the most important platform in the enterprise today. I think we're all going to look back one day and say, this was the dawn of the automation era, and we were there, and we're a part of making it happen. I think that's very profound, and I think that's very significant. We're very excited about the future. We're excited about this next release. Just can't wait to get it into your hands and to hear your feedback. And we're very inspired and compelled by where this platform can go out in the future. I want to thank you so much for your time today. I want to thank you for your partnership with us. Have a great rest of Forward and a great time in Las Vegas. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Mary. Thank you so much.